We want to give a shout out to Steven with We Rock the Spectrum. We Rock the Spectrum is an inclusive sensory-based gym committed to providing a fun, safe, and welcoming environment for children of all ages and abilities. So if you're in town or in the Franklin area, please go check them out. Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. This week, we have on owner of White Crane Hospitality, Cody Berger. We talk about growing up in the 2000s, the work that goes into being a chef, and the value of rest. We hope you enjoy.
If you do a Christ air, it's left, right, see right. Make twist is right, right, see right.
Okay, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Dang.
This is
You still know it, and it's been, 10, 15 years?
Oh,
Longer?
25? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Good times, man.
Yeah. Super Smash Brothers, I played way too much because I feel like every Christian youth group thing I did in high school, we ended up playing Super Smash Brothers. It wouldn't make sense no matter where we were. A Nintendo 64 and a TV with AV connectors would be there, and we'd end up playing Super Smash Brothers. My tactic was always to be Samus and just camp out.
Samus?
Yes, with the claw. That's, she was
just
my
camp out in the side,
she
watch
was my
everyone
character
else,
too.
which is
Oh
also
my
a lot of my
gosh.
personality. I'm just going to stand on the side, watch all the chaos, and then just provoke from time to time
Just
and go back
build-
to my corner.
Build up the orb.
Build
and
up the
just
special
wait.
shot and just wait. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah, that is.
So it was GoldenEye
Yeah.
and then Zelda.
Ooh, which Zelda, Ocarina of Time or the Mask one? Yeah,
I
you're
have
welcome.
No idea. Whatever the Zelda one I
So
had.
I don't remember.
Dude, you have
ever
a
playing
very
Zelda.
good memory if you can remember
I
all
have
this
a
stuff.
very dumb memory.
Tell you what, GoldenEye, I remember being so pissed when my friend would, he would select Odd Job,
Yeah, Odd Job was.
but you would crouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
And
yeah.
nobody could
Yeah.
get my guy was always Jaws.
Oh,
Because I
no.
just liked how big
Yeah.
Jaws, and with the I guess it was the sawed-off shotgun. Like that was
Oh,
The
man.
automatic. It was
You
an
were bringing
automatic,
back
automatic shotgun.
You are bringing back memories now.
No,
Such
if
a
we
good time.
played GoldenEye right now, I would still know where the body armor was on every single level.
my.
that we
See,
played.
dude, I can't even remember.
I'm
the
not
last
proud
time.
of this. I'm just telling you how I am.
You should, dude. You should be proud. I couldn't remember any of that because I never owned it, but my neighbor did.
Uh-oh.
Ow.
My parents wouldn't. I guess I didn't have GoldenEye. I'm trying to think of I think if I started playing this, a lot would come back. But Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah.
Banjo.
And when Banjo-Tooie came out, it was basically you could do 007, but with the birds.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're shooting eggs.
My favorite punk thing to do would be to make the weapons remote mines, and because you could detonate them when you threw them in midair if you press A and B at the same time. So you
Dude.
press Z to throw them, and the person would think you were throwing it, and you just exploded in their face. So
How do you know all this
I
stuff?
stepped into your house
you
tonight.
stepped into my house tonight. A very obscure Nintendo 64 knowledge that there's going to be some round of trivia I show up in, and they're going to be like, "What was Jeff Rowley's special slide on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1?"
There we go.
And I'll be like, "Oh, I got this."
The old school right there.
gosh.
Look at the graphics on that.
Yeah, I have a.
How blocky it is.
They did a remaster of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 a year or two ago.
Oh yeah, can you download it on Xbox or
Probably you can do it on
something like that?
PlayStation, I know, but I don't know how it works if you can do it on. But I'm hoping that they do like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 also, because that's like when Bam Margera got involved in everything, and it
nice.
just got much more ridiculous.
Nice.
And it's like the most early 2000s thing you could
with
possibly
Bam,
do.
you think it
Just
got
a little
ridiculous?
bit. I think in one of the challenges was like you got thrown into a shopping cart and had to go down a hill like within a specific time frame.
Sounds
gosh,
like-
dude, that sounds
Oh,
familiar.
No.
jackass.
I remember. I feel like I only really remember. Yeah, 2 was the yellow one.
Yes.
But one game, I feel like I played 1 for sure, but then I didn't really play it again until probably 5th or 6th grade when Underground came out.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was sweet because you could make your own. Or I think you could make your own character on one of them prior to Underground, but I just loved that.
But Underground was like whenever you're playing like a NBA game or NFL game where like you choose the person and you take them from like the ground level and then like you recruit them, you get
so
all
you're
their
not
stats
you're
and
not
stuff.
dressing them and stuff.
Yeah, no, it was
okay.
literally like, here's your neighborhood where you're learning how to skate, perform these tricks. And I'm like, this is like, you guys were running out of ideas because you've already done like 20 Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters. Like,
There's a lot of them. For
what else
sure.
can you do?
Oh man, that's funny. Good times. Oh
Well,
my gosh.
I grew up in the Midwest, and like I feel like most of my teenage years were just hanging out in friends' basements playing video games. I don't know if that was the same in the South, but that's
When it
mostly what it
rained.
was. Oh, okay.
But I wasn't really from the South. I consider myself Midwest.
You know what?
where,
You're-
where, yeah, we're,
Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati.
oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
We do not think of ourselves of the South at all.
No, but you're also like, I feel like where you're from is that weird, like you're not Cincinnati, you're not Louisville, you're not what Floyd's
We're not anything.
Like you're like, but you're everything at the same time.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of an odd little ecosystem up there.
Yeah.
So I went to this was, I guess it was about 10-ish years ago, which is crazy to say. But I went to culinary school in Louisville.
oh,
Okay.
cool.
And I didn't feel like, I mean, outside of like the bourbon thing and derby stuff, like I didn't feel like it was a Southern.
Nah.
No, it's very blue
some,
collar.
But some
Yeah.
people, like the like locals around there, considered it the South. And I
Really?
know it's Kentucky, but I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I'm not really,
Not
I'm not feeling it up here.
Yeah.
Well, I
Not
mean, same
feeling it.
for the the Civil War. We were kind of a mixture of both. So I don't know. We don't really have a.
What? How do you pronounce it? I always pronounce it Louisville. How do you?
Louisville.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is the correct.
When I
Louisville,
was
yeah.
little, it'd be Louisville.
Louisville. Yeah. Mom, there's an S in there. Yeah, but no one pronounces it.
Yeah.
man.
There,
I
I
don't
forgot
understand.
there's an S in there.
Yep.
Louisville. Yes.
That is amazing.
I'm just gonna jump to the next obvious early 2000s question. Are you going to Blink 182? Is that what you posted?
Are you going?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
but 'cause
dude.
tickets. I feel like I looked up and I was like, oh, this is more than I want to spend for
Bro,
this
I'm
much
going.
nostalgia.
I'm going. So me and my wife and some friends of ours, they took us to see Blink. I've been listening to Blink my whole life.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
But they took us to go see him at Ascend Amphitheater. Dude, I bet that was sick.
Probably. I think that's
That
when
was
Matt,
probably 6 or 7 years ago.
when Matt Skiba was filling in for Tom DeLonge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the show was great.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to go too deep into Blink theory right now,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
we could.
Yep. Just a little bit.
But yeah, that was fun. And so whenever Blink, it was October when they announced this this tour they're going on in the U.S. And me and my wife and our boys, we were on vacation. And I woke up and I got on my phone and I saw that Blink was going on another tour. And I saw that they were coming to Nashville. And was sleep with just being a dad and our kids and stuff. Like at the time, our youngest, he was only 6 months old. And so sleep was few and far between. And
Yeah.
anyway, I remember waking up, checking my phone, seeing that they're touring. And I woke up my wife. This was probably 7 a.m. I can't remember if either of the boys were awake yet, but I woke her up and I said, "Hey, you're not going to care about this, but I have to tell you right now." I said Blink 182 is going to Nashville, and Turnstile, the opening band.
Yeah.
I've been listening to them. I started listening to them in culinary school like 10 years ago.
Oh, cool.
They're like
Yeah.
a hardcore band based out of Maryland,
Sweet.
and so they're like probably my top 5 bands.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
They're killer. And so I go, Turnstile's opening for them. They're coming to Nashville. Da da da. And I'm texting like a lot of my buddies like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we need to go." And I saw how much tickets were going to be at the time, and I was like, "Dang, man,
Yeah.
that sucks." So I told my wife like, "Man, dude, the tickets are like at the time for the pit because I'm going in the pit. I'm not doing seating.
No,
you
yeah.
know?
If you're going, you're going.
I'm going." And so anyway, yes, I am going.
Yes.
Ticket was still super expensive,
Yeah.
but my buddy who invited me, he bought 2 tickets and he just charged me what he paid for
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What a friend. What a friend.
For real. I mean,
Yeah.
because we actually went and saw Turnstile together in Atlanta. I think it was the fall or winter when we went and did that. And so I knew he bought tickets for Blink, and I said, "Just hey man, if your buddy who you're going with bails, like let me know." And so he texted me like a month ago and said, "Hey, they bailed. You want to go?" And I was like, "Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I have to." So yeah.
I mean, it's funny because like Blink 182 is about as much nostalgia as you can get,
Oh,
and in
yeah.
that
Oh,
pit,
my-
it's gonna be everyone is gonna be in the exact like a band like that going on a tour like this means everyone who's in the pit is there for the exact same reason. No one's gonna end up
That's-
casually in the pit at a Blink 182 show.
that is such a good.
So you're just like everyone's gonna be there. Everyone's gonna. That's like kind of the fun of like a lot of bands are doing 20-year reunion shows because a lot of the punk bands we
God,
listened
we're
to
getting
growing
old.
up. Or like Taking Back Sunday's already done a tour for Tell All Your Friends because it's over 20 years old. You know, like
What?
yeah. All those albums are like Dashboard Confessionals early stuff. It's about 20 years old now. But whenever
No
you go to
way.
that show, everyone there is there.
For the
They're
same
soaking in the
thing.
nostalgia. They still remember every word. They're surprised they know every word.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see Blink-182. I feel like this is the most early 2000s concert bill ever. I saw in the early 2000s Green Day and Blink-182 went on tour together. So I saw
Really?
Green Day whenever they did. I think it was for Warning. And then it was Blink-182, I think, for the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket tour, and Saves the Day opened for them. So it was like the most pop punk, like emo-ish. Like I feel like as I was there, I
What
was
a
like, this is
concert.
pretty legit. This is pretty good.
Where'd you see them at?
In Indianapolis. So
Okay.
like Deer Run, I think is what it was called at the time.
Oh
So,
my gosh. See, I sometimes I wish, like, man, if I was a little older, like if I was, 35 to 40,
Yeah.
like the 90s and early 2000s, the concerts I would have gone to
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah, like
just-
Warped Tour for me.
Oh, yeah.
was just like,
Dude.
so I'm gonna go see Alkaline Trio, Taking Back Sunday, Yellow Card, AFI.
Did you go to Warped
Yeah,
Tour?
I went to like 3
Dang.
Warped Tours.
Dude,
I
I've gone to a good bit too,
Gosh.
but yeah.
But like, yeah, it's the difference of, because I'm 36, so I'm like 5 years older than you, and that 5 years is the difference between that and like Warped Tour for you would have been like what, All Time Low, like the third
So,
wave, like pop punk
the
emo
first
bands.
time I went to Warped Tour, it was Atlanta 2010,
Yeah.
summer
Oh,
of
yeah.
2010,
Yeah.
and so the main people. Actually, I have a tattoo on my ribs of a song title from Set Your Goals.
Okay.
Love Set Your Goals.
Yeah.
4 Years Strong is when they came out with their Enemy of the World album.
Okay, yeah.
Which is probably one of the most impactful, with the time that album came out to me, it was a really big deal. So,
Yeah.
man, holy smokes. I'm going to have to go back and figure out who all, but yeah, definitely a different
Yeah.
era.
I mean, I
for
think
sure.
one Warped Tour I went to, like Bowling for Soup and Coheed and Cambria were playing at it. If you remember those very obscure like punk bands.
Yeah.
I remember Bowling for Soup.
Yeah. So it's just like
I only know them for, did they do
1985.
yeah, that's
and,
the only
like, a
one
couple
I
other
know
ones.
them.
Yeah, so it was like the weird one-hit wonder pop punk bands of like
Yeah.
2005 were there. And I'm
Coheed
like, sure.
would be sick though.
They played way too early in the day, and the guys, all of his vocal range is like super high whenever he sings. So he was like sitting there. They played at like 11:30, and he was just like, "You guys can sing this part."
Oh my God.
You are phoning it in hard, man.
Dude, I'm going to have to blast some Coheed on the way. I
Yeah,
feel like
man.
the first time I heard them, I was probably like 9.
Probably right,
Yeah.
yeah. So, do you have this is random side tangent? I only knew about that music because I have an older brother.
Yep.
and he would like. I think he made me a burn CD with like Blink-182, the Get Up Kids, and Green Day on it, and I was like, "What is all of this stuff?"
Yeah, that's so awesome. So my older brother, he went to heaven. It'll be 14 years
Okay.
this summer. So, and he was two and a half years older than me.
Okay.
And so, yeah, like I would say in my middle school days, this is going to sound funny.
Yeah.
So just like, I always make jokes with Daniel specifically about
Yeah.
like homeschool kids.
Sure.
And so I was homeschooled for a few years, right? And I remember I would stay up later than my siblings so that I could stay up and watch Headbangers Ball on Fuse
Yes.
and watch Family Guy, but then just
Yep.
have like the recall button be
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
Disney
yeah.
Channel
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
in
yeah.
case parents come up.
Yep.
And so throughout like middle school, I was a little bit more into like the emo stuff. I really liked AFI.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Loved AFI. I really liked My Chemical Romance.
Yep.
I really liked Slipknot was good.
Yep.
I was listening to them yesterday, actually.
Really nice.
And then, gosh, who else was I was into like Bless the Fall.
Did you ever get in like Hawthorne Heights?
So I never.
man, I haven't heard that name in a
so
long
I,
I'm sorry. I'm bringing on. This is. We'll get to
So-
dad stuff in a bit.
for
but-
sure. I feel like that stuff was. I mean, like if Ohio was for lovers,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like so like if I was at a show,
Yeah.
and like that came on the speakers or whatever, like I'm definitely singing it, like
Yeah.
it's nostalgia. But I kind of made fun of. I feel like they were a little too.
Yeah.
I just never got too into them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my brother. Or I'll go to my brother instead. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, best soundtrack ever.
Yep.
So you have Primus, you have Rage Against the Machine,
Goldfinger.
you have Goldfinger, you have Suicide Machines.
Yep.
All of these bands that were, dude, you're just
No, it's a legitimately like
it's an
the
amazing
soundtrack is embedded in my head still.
Shout out to Gangstar.
Yeah, right?
Amazing
Yeah.
soundtrack. And so probably by the time I'm in like third or fourth grade, my brother was really into New Found Glory.
Oh yeah, of
Okay.
course.
And
Yeah.
so there's a time where he would call me back to like the computer or whatever and be like, "Hey, look, do you recognize this song?" And it would be songs from bands from the Tony Hawk game or from Disney Channel original movies. So like in Brink, you would get Suicide
Yes,
Machines,
Yeah.
and then in Johnny Tsunami, there's a few bands in there. So it was always kind of like,
Tsunami.
so it was
Yeah, man.
always like there's always a connection
Yes.
there. And so my brother he played guitar, and then I kind of followed his music taste a bit, especially once we got into high school.
Yeah.
Like on the ride to school, we're just listening to ska.
Yep.
And so what's kind of funny, I was telling someone this the other day. Like, so we're PKs, right? So my father's a pastor.
Okay.
But like, I don't know if my parents were ever oblivious to this necessarily, but my brother in high school had an Evil Empire Rage Against the Machine shirt. We're listening to ska. We're listening to NoFX. We're listening to Leftover Crack.
Yeah.
We're listening to
All these like California punk
just-
bands that are like destroy all establishments.
Yes. And so I don't know if it was really under reps or what, but my brother definitely influenced my music taste big time.
That's fun.
And so, throughout high school, man, I could just go on about this stuff, honestly.
right,
But yeah, so that's kind of, just relevance to Blink and all the stuff going on right now. Like all that stuff is like,
Well, I think it's actually fascinating because like it's more that like hopefully it's relatable content for people who are probably dads listening to this because like in the early 2000s you would buy a video game, it would have a soundtrack, and you'd go use that to legally download their music later.
yes. Hey, LimeWire. Shout out to LimeWire.
Shout out to LimeWire and Kazaa. And all of the viruses I still probably have somewhere because of them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like when I think of Goldfinger, I more think of Superman and playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater in like a friend's basement. And I'm like, it's weird that this 1 3-minute song immediately takes me back to playing a warehouse level.
But
It does.
For sure, man. That's amazing.
Well, enjoy. Is it when you go into the concert?
So it's Sunday. Sunday night at Bridgestone.
Cool.
And then I think me and a buddy are gonna get some food beforehand.
Yeah.
Is it this Sunday?
This Sunday.
Oh,
you
oh,
dads
man.
need, bro.
This will be released in like August, so it'll now be old news. But still, maybe someone listening to be like, I was at that show.
Oh, for sure.
I was in the pit. I'm gonna punch you in
Or
the
we
face.
have you come back and tell us all about it.
Yeah.
I am, dude. Especially with now that we're like briefly talking about the music stuff, I'm like, holy smokes, I can go deep with this. So,
I'm
for
very
sure.
fascinated to know like music is so much a part of like growing up and stuff. That like I
100%.
think of that with my kids all the time of like already playing music for them of how to like music is a very big part of my personality. I'm sure it is for you also. So it's like what part of like how much like it's a really cool way to show sides of yourself to your kids of like, hey, we're gonna listen to depending on the Blink-182 song, we're gonna listen to a couple of songs. So you can like this is what I listened to whenever I was like your age. I have a brother who's 6 years older than me, so and we shared a room. So
Dang.
I would listen to I'd be like in third grade listening to like Radiohead and Violent Femmes. So that's part of why I am the way that I am is I listened to very serious, very intense like alternative music by the time I was like 7. So I'm like very intrigued to know. I'll be very conscious of what our kids listen to and like try to steer them into stuff where I'm like, hey, this like I will care a lot about what they listen to and know that that's a way to know how they view the world and what they're dealing with and be very like, no, this is how this music is my main language of communication. So let's talk.
Wow,
See,
that's deep. I
My
love
sister
that.
was 7 years older than me.
Yeah.
And the music that she listened to was John Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, all that.
80s hair metal.
Oh, yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was born in 77. So,
Yeah.
like,
No, I mean, whenever
Wow,
she
that's
Yeah.
wow.
whenever
So
she was in high
crazy.
school though, like if you listen to Metallica and Guns N' Roses
Yes.
in the 80s, you did.
Yep. It was, I guess it's just totally different type of music than what you guys listen to. But
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
just
but
now starting to get into the older stuff a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Because growing up, like a lot of my friends who like got really into music, they were all like listening to Zeppelin and all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
But like I just never really vibed with it too much. But now over the last 2 years, an artist, or I guess a group that I started listening to that I'm super upset that no one showed me earlier, Creedence Clearwater
Oh, yeah,
Revival.
man. Yeah, man.
Dude, I love
Yep.
some CCR.
Yeah.
You listen to it now and you're like, they've been this good this entire time?
And
How
then
did I not know about
And
this?
then I recognize, oh wow, wait, this is a CC. I've heard this
I've
song.
listened to this song for
yeah,
decades.
this is a CCR
Yeah.
like this,
had
this.
no idea.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of music, and then the old school movies. I grew up. I would hide behind couches as my sister and her friends were watching these older movies.
Yeah.
Of
Like what?
Like
Do you
Friday the 13th
Yeah.
movies, Freddy,
Like all the
Nightmare
80s,
on
all the 80s
Nightmare on
slashers,
Elm
yeah.
Street,
80s slashers, yeah.
Jason, all of them. I was like between the ages of 3 and 7 and
Yeah.
watching these movies.
Yeah.
That is.
I did
My
that too
parents
because of my
not
older
knowing.
brother. Yep.
Yeah.
because of my older brother. Yeah, it's always the
You
older
have an older
siblings.
sibling, and there's like, well, I'm watching it. I don't care what you do. And you're like, well, I'm going to watch it too because I'm in the room with you.
Yeah.
What else do you think would happen here?
Yeah.
But then it's also like not only just those horror movies, but like The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, all the John Hughes stuff.
Yeah, all the John
Yeah.
Hughes stuff. I forgot all about it from like ages 7 to 10 to like 26. And then as I'm watching them again, I'm like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
that brings back memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I always feel like there's probably some movie quote that you say and you don't remember that it's a movie quote because it's just so embedded in you. Like my favorite one that people say is like, "No one makes me bleed my own blood," which is like
Nice.
dodgeball.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, you do know what that's from, right? Like
Yeah.
people just like randomly offhandedly say, and I'm like, that's like, but like you know when people say a quote and it's so part of their consciousness
Yep.
that they aren't
Oh,
even like they aren't
yeah.
even acknowledging it's a movie quote. They're
They
just
don't even
saying
know
it
the
out loud.
reference.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, do you want to talk about dodgeball? I haven't watched the movie in like in 20 years. I bet it still stands the test of time.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
it's incredible, dude.
Same as Zoolander,
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, and I
the
was
Frat
talking.
Pack.
I was talking to my wife about this the other day. We watched this new movie on Netflix, and it was a Happy Madison production.
Yeah.
Yes.
And dude, Billy Madison, Mr. Deeds, like Happy Gilmore,
Big Daddy.
all of that stuff was
Yeah.
so funny to me. And a little later on, like stuff that I quote, like just in my head, or stuff like movies that I can just watch and just
Yeah.
die the whole time.
Uh-huh.
Dude, Step Brothers.
Yes.
Oh my
Did we just become best friends?
dude. Oh yeah,
That's one.
Yeah,
That's one
there
where I
you
feel
go.
like I hear
Yeah.
people say, "Did we just become
Yeah.
best friends?" And I'm like, "Are you aware you're referencing Step Brothers? Because you seem too young to have watched the movie as much."
Yeah,
as
yeah, for sure.
Gotta
Oh, that's
love
so
it.
funny.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. John Stamos.
Yeah.
So,
Oh Lord.
But it's so awesome.
yeah,
Oh,
It's nice to have that useless information
yeah,
Yeah.
because then you can just spit it out and sometimes make somebody laugh.
yeah. Every once in a while,
Or
For
just
sure.
have them look at you and be like, huh?
huh? And I'm like, I said that out loud. All right, no, I said that out loud.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
An embarrassing little story.
Yeah.
I
That's what we're here
I
for.
said,
Yeah.
so I'm in a cabin in Telluride with my CFO and my CEO and their significant others and me and Haley. We're, I think, playing a card game or doing something like that. And they started talking about milking or getting milked or milking a cow or something like that. And I did well, I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
And no one laughed.
I just spit it out.
Yeah, it was
no one
just like,
laughed.
oh my
They
God.
I'm
looked
trying
at
to-
me.
What was that from?
Meet the Fockers.
Yes.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
bet. Okay.
Because Robert De Niro says
Or
it.
no, it's Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents. Meet the Fockers is the sequel.
Second.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad.
Okay.
But Robert De Niro, with a very serious face, looks at
Yeah.
Ben Stiller and says,
'Cause-
"I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?"
What's okay? Yeah, because the dad, Robert De Niro, he's
He's the
actually
CIA.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Yeah.
saying that to the CFO and CEO of my company, them
It just
not,
happened, like-
not laugh. Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't even think about it. I just blurted it out
Because
like
to
an
you,
idiot.
You've watched that movie so many
Yes.
times. I knew immediately which movie you were talking about. Where you saying that is like, yeah, everyone knows this, and
Yeah.
then you're like, or not.
Yeah.
So what was their reaction? Did it just not get addressed?
No, it was just like I was like, okay. I was
All
like,
right.
I was like, it was a movie that
It was a movie that had people in it, and they said funny things, but not in
All
this
right.
context.
About the weather.
So, tell her it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. It was probably one of the most humiliating
I
experiences
have
I've
a
had.
feeling that most dads are similar to us, in which they are weirdly obsessed with early 2000s punk music
Yeah.
or movies, in which then they reference them, and they're just like, just me? All right,
Yeah.
Sweet.
Where are my people? Where they're all in the mosh pit at Blink-182
Heck
this
yes,
Sunday.
they are.
Waiting
And they're
to
all
go.
gonna look exhausted. They're all gonna be out of breath.
Luckily, though, Blink-182 song's about 3 minutes long, so you just got to go hard for about 2.5 minutes,
Dude,
and then you'll be fine.
So whenever I went and saw Turnstile, they came here. I guess right around a year ago, they came and played at Brooklyn Bowl.
Oh, cool.
And it was the first time I had seen them. But it was one of those things where it was inevitable to get in the pit, and there's no escape. There's
Yeah.
no escape. You just had to embrace it. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, okay, I'm going to Turnstile, one of my favorite bands. I'm like, okay, but how hard do I want to go? They're opening. Like, if I
Yeah.
go hard for the opening, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You're gonna
but-
hydrate. That's all you know. You gotta hydrate. You gotta worry about your footwear because you're gonna be standing the whole
Dude,
time.
I
You
gotta
gotta prepare.
stretch. Yeah, I don't
Totally different questions that you have to ask yourself than you were 20 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And then even just thinking about like work stuff, like I think I go to the show, and then Monday and Tuesday I'm cooking for this retreat thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be showing up
Yeah.
and a black eye or like limping. You know what I mean? So I gotta play it cool. Gotta play it cool. Gotta still keep
Yes.
Gotta keep
know.
that in the back of my head.
Which
Go to
works as a great segue to ask, what do you do for a living? What's your job?
I am a
Boom.
that was a good.
You're only a
welcome.
half an hour into this.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Oh my
Time
god.
flies, man.
Golly, yeah. So I'm a private chef.
Sweet.
Yep, I'm a private chef. I have been for I guess it'll be going on 4 years
Okay.
in September. I think it'll be 4 years. Yeah, I love it. It's one of those things that kind of happened organically and nothing that I ever necessarily wanted to pursue, but it just kind of snowballed into what it is today, so.
Yeah.
What does a private chef mean? Like, do people host events? You show up and you cook a meal? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, so I think it means some different things depending on the chef, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would say 99% of what I do is cooking in my clients' homes. So, like, for any dinner that I get booked for, I'm in their house. Like, I cook. The way I like to operate is I cook everything in my clients' homes. So, like, whenever, say we got dinner at 6 o'clock, I'm probably showing up at, depending on the menu, probably showing up between like 1 and 2, prepping all day, executing the plated dinner, stuff like that. But yeah, it just kind of depends. Like, some people want to do, like a family style thing or a plated dinner. So it just kind of depends on what they're wanting. But yeah, so I show up in their home, cook everything from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I operate. So I have like a seasonal menu on my website and stuff that people can select from, or if people are wanting something specific, like I'm happy to try and make that happen as well.
Yeah.
Now, for these dinners with these clients, are they like having people over for business or just family
Dude,
or just friends, or is it all the above?
It's everything. It's
Cool.
everything. Hey, we're in town in Nashville because we're looking to buy a house. That's been a very popular one over the
Really?
last few years.
Yeah.
More so than what you would think. It's very interesting. Well, and just with people want to see Nashville now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So people are visiting town, families, birthdays, anniversaries,
Celebrations, basically.
anything we're celebrating, or it's hey, we just want to have we're having friends over. We want a really awesome plated meal in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the list is never ending.
That's
It's birthday,
cool.
it's everything. Like, it could be, birthday parties, or it could be something super simple. Like, a lot of people reach out to me and just say, hey, we just want to cook like just our immediate family. I just want you to come over and just cook us a good dinner. And it's super chill, super low key. So anything,
is so cool.
almost. Yeah. So
Do you bring your own pots and pans?
luckily, most of my clientele has pretty good stuff already.
Yeah,
I am capable of bringing all my own
Okay,
stuff,
cool.
but typically, if the event might require a lot of stuff, or it's a bigger dinner, I always ask prior to me getting to the client's house, like, hey, can I just have some pictures of your dining room just so I can see,
Yeah.
because I don't want to get in over our head on the menu to where the space can't, accompany such things. So normally they'll send me videos of like their utensils and pots and pans they have, which is great. But if they don't have stuff, like I do bring my own. But whenever I am showing up with all these ingredients and stuff, like even if I'm not bringing my own equipment, I have cooler bags full of stuff.
You're doing a couple trips and back and forth from the car.
Oh gosh, yeah, for sure. So most people have just about anything that I could need. But then if there's any like specialty piece of equipment that a certain dish requires, like I bring that myself. Yeah.
Do you set up the table too? Like you do like the whole table design also, or is that more the person who's there?
So I don't necessarily do table design, but
tablescaping, if you will.
So what I'll do, unless a lot of people when they're hosting dinners like this, I very rarely get asked to even do that. Like some people take a lot of pride in, setting up the table, doing the flower arrangements, all that stuff, which is great. But then prior to the meal, like if they need the table set up, like I just have one of my staff go ahead and like do that.
Yeah.
But especially for stuff like celebrations, normally they take care of all their rentals. They do the tablescape and all this stuff. And then probably 15 to 20 minutes before we start the meal, because, there's chargers and plates and stuff stacked all over the place. So before the meal, me and the crew will kind of clear that stuff off because people want to take pictures of it, want to take pictures of it, stuff like that. So I haven't gone into overseeing that myself just because I haven't been asked to. And I feel like some people, if they're like, okay, we got food covered and stuff, maybe, yes, we're hosting it, but maybe we can just take care of this one thing like ourselves and kind of just like set the vibe in the room or whatever, then,
Or if there's a theme that they've set already.
Yes.
I used to work at Hester and Cook Design Group, which does like table runners and placemats and stuff. So tablescaping, I would speak in basically whenever I go to markets and stuff.
That's awesome.
A lot of cool different.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm
more something. But like it's I think that's the first time I realized like you can have like these ridiculous fancy moments, I guess is kind of what it feels like. And you can like set a tone, you can set a vibe just by how you decorate a table.
Well, and I'm just now learning. Yeah, like I'm not
saying I know how to do it. I just know it exists.
I don't know how to do it. Yeah,
the way that you can decorate a plate like that, man, you could. I mean, that's art.
Oh gosh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So
thank you. Yeah,
I think you could probably drift over into the.
Hey, and that would be really cool, and I would love that. And honestly, I think just over the years that I have been doing this in folks' homes is like people really care about how things are decorated and stuff. It just sets the tone, and it could just do a whole lot. So I think that would be really cool to kind of venture into eventually. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
But also based on like the type of meals you do, you're already pretty busy with cooking and making sure everything is coming out. So tablescaping, you're like, if you're taking care of that, that's great.
So I appreciate you bringing that up because a lot of the food I do is extremely laborsome.
Yeah.
Like and I feel like at the same time, people are hiring me to cook them a delicious meal, and I want to be extremely intentional with that. Yeah. And deliver smooth service without compromise. So I don't know, maybe I can eventually partner with someone or figure out a way for me to start overseeing that. I think would be really cool. But like when I'm, when I'm in someone's kitchen cooking a meal, I am in there for a long time. Yeah. Like there's a lot of, time and just honestly just intentionality with things that I like to kind of emphasize and stuff. So even in like that picture to the left that your mouse is on, like they did their own tablescape and all that. And I think people maybe know if they look at my food and stuff, they're like, okay, we could probably, because I emphasize like even on my website and when people email me like, hey, I need to get to your house 5 to 6 hours before this meal. Because it's laborsome and I need it to look and taste great. Yeah. So people kind of take that in on their own, I guess.
Things like presentation is a definite way to show care and love to some extent. So like, yeah, the way you present and plate your food is it's like you're showing the respect that you have for the food that you just made, basically. Like if it just took you like 5 hours to do something and do it right, you just to throw it on a plate is almost like disrespectful to how much work you just put into it.
For sure. That's a good way of thinking about
I
it.
just
for
cooked
sure.
this piece of meat for 5 hours. What am I doing? I'll just throw it on the plate, put some barbecue sauce next to it.
Yeah,
It'll be
for
fine.
sure. So
Well,
like,
on that picture right there, it looks like you're talking to that group of people. So do you you do that all the time as well? Just kind of give them a background of what you're cooking?
for sure. Yeah. So
That's pretty
anytime we
cool.
do a meal, like I call it a spiel. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'll take a second, like once I say, hey, we're probably, if we can sit down in the next 10 to 15, let them take their time, let them get sat, fill up their wines and all this stuff. And then when first course comes out, I kind of give a quick spiel on, hey, thank you such and such for having me in the team here. We're excited to serve y'all dinner. We have X amount of courses for y'all tonight. Yeah. And just before we get started, I'm just going to kind of go over what you guys are about to eat and tell you how it was prepared and so on. So for every course, I like to kind of just give a quick, 30 seconds of here's what you're eating, here's how it was prepared, here's what it's prepared with.
Yeah. Well, also, if someone's hiring you to do a private meal, it's probably because they care about the quality of their food and they're intrigued by the story that's going into it.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's a good point. And sometimes you have to feel things out. Like with some with some guests, like they're kind of, if they've been having some wine beforehand, like they want to sit down and eat. And it's no like shade to them, but sometimes it's like, I don't want to stand there awkwardly for 2 minutes while your food is probably getting cold to then try and interrupt. So sometimes you just got to go with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. People love the spiel.
Yeah. That's beautiful though, man. Man, well, I mean, just like people want to know how like a painting or a drawing is made. They want to see or hear how their food, especially this type of food, has been made.
Well,
I appreciate that.
I guess you've also benefited from Nashville's become so much more of a foodie town over the past decade or so.
Sure.
So that's
Who would have thought?
I know.
not me.
It's wild. Whenever I was in culinary school in Louisville.
Yeah.
Yep,
Correct
you said it
pronunciation. Yeah. We're all on the same.
Whenever I was
page
there,
here.
I remember the chefs and stuff. They were like, man, they try to sell all the students on like Louisville being a really cool, like
Bardstown's great, man.
Oh,
it is actually
man.
great. It's a really cool area.
Yeah, it's a cool area. So, but a lot of the chefs are like, man, Nashville's really, it's seeming like it's going to be a pretty cool place. And obviously I grew up here and all this stuff. So I was in a rush to get back down here because at the time, my girlfriend at the time, now wife, like I wanted to get married. I wanted to get back down here. Louisville was not for me. Yeah. And I knew Nashville was blowing or kind of just on the cusp of like just kind of becoming what it is still becoming today. It was just on the verge of just, becoming some really cool stuff. And often at dinners, people say, like, where do you like to eat? And I honestly, I'm not in Nashville that much, really. Like, there's probably a dozen restaurants that I haven't been to that I want to go to so bad. Yeah. But what's so crazy to think is legitimately there is so much talent in Nashville restaurants, and so many chefs have so many accolades and James Beard Award winners, nominations, like everywhere. Yeah. And so there's just so many great restaurants here. It's wild.
I feel like
so wild.
You almost have to pick a genre of food you really like because there's a new one every single week.
Yep.
Like I love Thai food.
Nice.
I feel like Justin, you like Thai food a lot. Also, you just choose like, all right, Thai food, pho, Vietnamese, all that stuff, all of that hemisphere. That's what I'm gonna do because there's a new restaurant like every other week that I need to try out.
It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts, man. And I'm trying to expand my horizons a little bit, but outside, I mean, coming into Nashville. I would venture even to say 5 years ago, like if you wanted to go grab a quick bite or go on a nice kind of last minute dinner, it's not like an all evening thing. And so now like traffic is crazy, parking's crazy, construction's crazy, reservations, like it's a
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a thing. And so But yeah, I mean, legitimately, there's probably a dozen restaurants that I want to go to so bad, but there's so many. Like I had posted, not a poll, what's it called? Like a questionnaire thing on my Instagram, like asking people, hey, where should we eat before the Blink-182 show?
Yeah.
And I didn't even post all the responses, but every single one that I posted were restaurants I hadn't even heard of.
Yeah.
And
Name some.
What'd you say?
Name some. I'm curious.
I think one was like it's like an Italian restaurant. I think it was called a Fili.
Il Forno?
No. Okay. No, someone did post that.
Yeah.
Someone did post that. I hadn't heard of that.
Yep.
Where's that one at?
Wedgwood, Houston.
Oh, okay.
Next to Fay the Fourth.
All right.
And
Like Pink Door Cookie area.
Gosh,
Okay.
I'm probably saying it wrong. I think it was Ophelia's. It was like
Ophelia's.
OPA.
Yeah.
It's an Italian
that sounds
place.
familiar.
Another place called, I don't know if any of these places are even necessarily new.
Or
But,
real.
Yeah, or real. One place I think was called like Blanca or Blanca or something. Just places. I'm like, what? I don't even know.
Yeah.
There's just so
The next
many.
time you do a questionnaire like that, I'm just going to make up words.
Dude, do it, and I'll post it. I'll just be like, man, hadn't heard of that one.
I
Wow.
think being a private chef, what's your like schedule flexibility like with having kids? Because if you're already there, I mean, if you got to get there 5 to 6 hours before, I'm sure the meal takes 3 hours or so, or something like that. So like, or just what's your schedule like? Do you have much flexibility to be around for your kids? Because I feel like whenever you take a gig, it's a good like 8 hours that you're doing.
So I do. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
You know, like regardless of how busy I am, like right now, I'm booking literally people, and I know it has to deal with just like the growth in Nashville or whatever, but I'm literally already booking dinners for December, and it's
I'm
July.
sorry, what?
Wow.
Good
and
for
it's
you.
July, which is great,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, what? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's just,
Dude,
it's
that is
crazy.
awesome.
And so, with that being said, it's kind of one of those things where, like, with being self-employed, no matter how busy you are, like, it's a hustle.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hustle. And I'm very big on, like, my business just being an organic thing. I've never asked for leads. I'm not texting people saying, hey, can you get me in with such and such? I'm not tagging clients with stuff because I feel like with being a private chef, people hire you because maybe they don't want.
What's the first word in chef?
Yeah,
Private? Okay,
private.
yeah, probably.
Exactly. So anyway, yeah, as far as flexibility, it's one of those things where I've gotten so busy. Like me and my wife, we were doing stuff today and we were kind of doing stuff around the house, and she's just used to Fridays and Saturdays. I'm probably working, and she goes, oh, hey, where's your event tomorrow? And I said, oh, I don't have one. She goes, and she like, her face like lit up because she was just happy that I had a Friday night off. But it's one of those things where I had to balance it out because like this week, for example, I just, as far as being in kitchens, being at clients' homes go, I basically did meal prep for 2 clients, 2 different homes in one day. And I knew next week, so I have the Blink-182 concert, which is obviously just for leisure, but I have that. Then I have an all-day contract on Monday, all-day contract on Tuesday, took Wednesday and Thursday off, a plated meal for 10 Friday, appetizers for 30 on Saturday. So, like, next week I'm working so I had to kind of, if my wife or boys, like if my house isn't taken care of, if things aren't good, or if it's too much stress for me to be working crazy weeks all the time, like if it starts impacting other people, like I need to chill.
Cool.
Because they're a priority over all this. So, it is still one of those things though where, say I got booked next month for something, and then a few days prior, like we have a friend text us and be like, hey, what are you guys doing this day? Like we should all get together, whatever. And my wife, her name's Carrie. And say Carrie says, oh, hey, we got invited to such and such house. I'm like, I'm booked.
Yeah.
I'm booked for dinner. So I think communication, like me and my wife, like I'm already talking to her about, hey, here's what I've committed to next month.
Yeah.
And even if a week is crazy busy, but I get another inquiry for a day that I'm not booked, I run it by her, saying like, okay, is this going to be too crazy for me to take this on? And I kind of learned my limitations with things, because if I have weeks like next week, for example, if I have that every week, I start to get tired.
Yeah.
I forget things. I fall behind on emails. I fall behind on paying people. I fall behind on anything administrative. So there kind of comes a balance with like, yeah, you got to hustle, you got to work a lot, but also I can't get behind on certain things or stuff around the house or even my family. It's like, okay, they've had to eat out every day for the last few days because we haven't had time to go grocery shopping because my wife, like, she has her hands full with our two crazy young boys. Like she, so
does she stay home with the kids?
Yes. Cool. Yeah, she does. And it's a balancing act. Yeah. I mean, I hate sounding cliche with it. So many guys are like, this is just a balance between work and family, but it really is. Like, it depends on a lot. But as long as my house is, whenever I say my house, I'm referring to my family. So when my house is taken care of, things are good. I feel like, yes, I'm gone at work, providing whatever, but as long as things are running smooth and everyone feels like they're taken care of, that kind of will allow what, scheduling can look like sometimes.
With having, you said that you have staff. I know that's just, those are people that probably just help you.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought at a certain extent of expanding out to more than just one cook other than yourself?
Working on that right now.
Okay, because I was going to say that could definitely help with some of that work-life balance.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know.
No, for sure. So right now, a big problem that I run into is being booked for an event on one day. Mm-hmm. Like right now, August 5th. I think it's the first Saturday in August. Mm-hmm. I had a client reach out 2 or 3 weeks ago, inquiring for that date. A client, I've been in their home probably 3 times, and I know they're legit. And like if he texts me saying, "Hey, I want this date," like I know they actually mean it and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I hadn't followed up with them. Started following up with them last week on menu and kind of what they're thinking and stuff. I've had 3 other people over the last 2 days inquire for that same exact date.
Wow.
Which is, given it's pretty last minute-ish, it's only like a 3-week notice.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, man, if I had, someone else that maybe I can bounce back and forth between the client's homes to kind of oversee both things, that would be really cool. So I have messaged the other inquiries for that date saying like, hey, how would you feel if I had my team handle that event? But obviously there's a lot of other logistics that go into that because I prep everything inside my clients' homes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, so whoever I staff out for that event, I have to do all the grocery shopping. I have to make sure they know how to make the sauce. I have to, so there's a lot that goes into that. But it is one of those things I feel like it's inevitable at this point, and I'm trying to figure out.
You could train, like, beforehand, just pick that person and train them. Mm-hmm. So then when the time does come where you have 2 bookings, that person's already trained and knows.
Yeah, and I think
I'm an operations manager.
No,
so what do I know?
And you're totally thinking right.
Logically, yes.
No, for sure. And I think it's one of those things too where when we plate each course or whatever, like I execute it just like how I would in a restaurant. So like, okay, this course is going out. Okay, for this next course, let's go ahead and make sure that this sauce is getting up to simmer. Let's make sure this is finished roasting. Let's make sure this meat gets seared now so that it can rest for this long. So there's a lot, like, especially just with food that I like to do and serve in people's homes. There's just a lot that goes into it. And I have, I would say I have 3 to 4 super experienced chefs that I love that have worked many events with me. They know how I operate. They know my food, all that stuff that I would trust to do that. But now it's just figuring out logistics on what that needs to look like. Even, let's see, like I have one client wanting meal prep, or I had to, since I have those 2-day contracts and for next week, I had to cancel meal prep all next week because of those things. But like, man, I wish I had a guy had my dude who I would trust to go in these people's homes and execute meal prep for them. Because just like
another you.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I guess. But
well, I mean, like if you're doing like the cuts of meat you do, like the difference between like medium and like medium plus is maybe like a minute or two too long on a skillet. So if you aren't like on top of everything, I feel like then like if the people who are hiring you care a ton about those little details.
Oh, for
if
sure.
If they ask it to be medium, it's because they want it medium. They
For
don't want medium and a little extra.
Yeah,
So if you hire someone who hasn't done it before and they get slightly distracted because they're doing 30 things at once and the main protein is just slightly overdone, they're going to remember that. That would be the worry in my head.
No, exactly. And it's one of those things too where, at some point in order to expand, you kind of have to take a risk on all that stuff.
You have to learn in some ways.
I just have to be, I feel like I'm like, okay, I have to be really methodical about this.
Yeah, of course.
In my line of work, I do landscaping and
yes,
adding an account manager to help manage all the clients that we have. I always have to take a risk. I have no idea how this person is really going to speak, listen, respect,
represent you,
or represent us. And you're worried that it's going to tarnish your reputation. But you just have to have faith, man. You just have to
you don't know until you really let go. And
then you adjust. If it doesn't work out, then you have to say, okay, it's not working out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too with a lot of people that help me with events, especially cooks, well, and service for that matter, they all have a background in private events, like every single one. So like they all know kind of the ethics and the flow of like in-home dining. And a lot of them like every once in a while when you cook for someone who might be in the public light a little bit more, it's important to me that whoever I staff to bring in their house is able to deliver normalcy.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not like throwing shade or anything right now, but it really is one of those things where some of these people who are, a lot is expected out of them constantly. There's tons of people trying to get a hold of them. There's all this stuff. They don't want someone coming in their house and talking about their new album.
Yeah.
Or talking about this football game or whatever. So it's kind of, one client specifically, like they, there's every once in a while you have to sign, an NDA, which I have no problem with.
Yeah.
But some of these people like who want you to sign that have probably experienced stuff in the past and it's like they're putting a lot of trust in you. And so I got to make sure my people know the exact same thing. Like if you can't bring happiness, joy, be servant hearted to these people and just bring normalcy and treat them like normal people. Like I've had a few hiccups in the past where I've needed a cook in a pinch. They've come and helped me. And it's not that they broke the normalcy barrier, but they just did a lot of stuff that was unprofessional in other people's homes.
Yeah.
But not unprofessional in the hospitality industry as a whole.
Yeah.
And I've gotten novel texts the next day just lighting me. And this was a few years ago, but it was a big wake-up call for me because I was still kind of new to figuring out this private thing. And it's just something I take very seriously. So when I staff people and hopefully when I get to a point where people can execute events without me there, like I work with the same probably 5 people, which I have more than that have works with me, but it's like these 5 people, like these guys, these girls, they get it. And they crank it. And I know they're all capable of executing stuff without me there, but it's just kind of one of those things where I was talking to my father-in-law about this the other day, who's a big businessman and stuff. And he said the one issue with that is I think a lot of people, when they hire you, they want to see you.
Yep.
So like I'm trying to, like I would love to not, I mean, I love interacting with the clients and everything, but it would be cool to maybe not have to pop my head into every event, if I do have multiple going on. But at the same time, I think it brings assurance and like, oh, hey, the chef is coming by to check up on things or whatever. Like there's still a I don't know, just some assurance and comfort I think that brings to clientele. So
Yeah.
again, just trying to juggle it and figure out how to really go about that.
Yeah.
You know, could be tricky sometimes.
Nope.
Well,
I mean,
you could do a partnership with all 5 of them. I don't know.
who knows? How do you how you scale that business is extremely tricky, because if I were to say what White Crane Hospitality is, I think it's mostly you and like what you offer. So like, how do you get that where White Crane Hospitality is like the umbrella that has other chefs and people know to trust everything in it and not just you specifically?
So that it's one of the things where I'm kind of at a crossroads on figuring out how, and this is like obviously from a humble heart here, but it's like figuring out how big I even want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like every once in a while you get people emailing you asking to do stuff. Hey, I got a referral from, this person you did a meal for back then. They loved it. I need something for 300 people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, so no.
That's a different world. I'm good.
It's a different world, but it's also one of those things too where I'm just a stickler when it comes to compromising on stuff.
Yeah.
So like,
You know your value.
I guess maybe that's it. I don't know. And when you get into such large events like that, you turn into a caterer or catering, which I don't know if I really want to do that. Like, I feel like that.
It's different than what you set out to do.
It's different than what I set out to do. And it also, whenever you do catering, obviously, like there's plenty of great caterers in here that serve great food and all that stuff. But I feel like with my food, more so specifically, I feel like it just, as far as execution and with catering, food quality can dwindle sometimes. Yeah. Like if you're doing buffet style stuff or you're doing a plated meal for 150 people, are all those people, is all their food going to be hot? Is it all going to be seasoned? Is it all going to be garnished? Is it all going to be cooked medium rare? Is it all? So there's not that I couldn't do that eventually, but I feel like when you get into events that big, it just leaves a little bit of room for compromise. And there's people that pull it off and do a kick-ass job and all that, but I just don't know if that's where my heart is at. But I think first we'll focus on maybe staffing it to where I can double book on certain days and stuff.
It's a good next step.
Figuring it out from there. I'm in talks with getting a commissary kitchen space out towards where I live, which would be really cool. But then maybe that might take away from the, hey, everything's cooked in your house fresh aspect. Yeah. So there's lots of...
Have you tried asking, if you have people you've done a couple of times or repeat customers, ask them like, hey, if I made this beforehand at a commercial kitchen and then brought it here and then finished it up here, would that change the experience for you?
Sure. And a lot of chefs, that's just how they run anyway. Yeah. Like plenty of private chefs cook stuff in other kitchens and then show up to their clients' homes. They barely have to do anything. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Which is awesome.
That's not
niche.
That's not how I necessarily like to operate. Yeah. So yeah, I think right now, like with this repeat client in the few weeks, like I think if I called him and was like, look, how would you feel about this? He'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because I've been in their house 4 times. They know quality's there. Like it would all still be prepared. I think the day of still, but it would be more so people showing up and executing it rather than like they would still do stuff fresh on scene and stuff, but it might just look a little different. But would they know? Yeah. Probably not, because it's still all cooked just for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh, all that.
You are ultimately selling an experience that people associate with big moments in their life. And it doesn't seem like you take that lightly. So you want to make sure you show up and you're doing right by the people who hire you. Because if someone's hiring you for like a 50th birthday party or something like that, you're like, hey, I actually made this yesterday and I'm just throwing it on a skillet today, kills you a little bit inside.
Yeah. And yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just good to know about yourself. It's like, this is the type of experience I want people to have. So I'm going to go towards that. For
sure. And I think too, one thing I take a lot of pride in is like the quality of groceries I buy. Yeah. So like, it all started from me thinking of like, okay, if I were to hire a private chef, how would I want them to operate? Because I want people to feel good about what they're getting and what they're wanting to pay for and stuff. And so I thought, okay, if I was hiring a chef and they said, hey, we cook everything fresh on scene just for your occasion. We work with organic, grass-fed, non-GMO, seasonal ingredients. That's how we operate. And even I make a point whenever I show up to people's homes with all my produce, all my stuff, I kind of neatly, like as I'm kind of getting organized and stuff, I'll like get big sheet trays and I'll lay out all the produce. I'll lay out everything just to kind of get organized, but then it gives the clients an opportunity to see like, okay, this is what he said he's going to deliver, and this is literally what I'm seeing right now. Yeah. So I just think there's something special about that as well. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of I guess maybe I just don't think about it that much, but I do put a lot of love into every event.
That's ultimately what your service is that you are going to care about pretty much every detail you know how to make sure this is an experience that people associate with positive moments in their life.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a great honor to be able to be a part of that.
It's incredible, man. Even right now, like anytime I get a email for anything, like I probably say this almost every day to Carrie, but it's like I cannot believe this people want. I got an inquiry 2 days ago for Veterans Day in like November or something.
November 11th.
And it's this wife, and she says, hey, I rented a private yacht for me and my veteran through like Music City Charters or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we want a chef on board to prepare us lunch that day. And it's like, wow, first of all, love our troops, support our troops, right? But it's just like, dang, like that is why, like what?
Yeah,
you want me to cook? Anyway, it's always super humbling, man. Like it doesn't care about who you are or whatever, but it's just like, man, like that's a pretty important thing to cook for. So
that is, I thought of this question earlier. Slight subject change
for sure.
With time management stuff and knowing how to balance or figuring out how to balance your work and your family. Did someone teach that to you, or is that from failure?
So,
that's a good question.
Failure, something
because that's hard.
Yeah, no, it is hard. I think, the only work that I know is restaurants. Like ever since I was 16, this is like all I've done ever is work in restaurants and all this stuff. And I knew just over the years of being in kitchens and stuff, like, you obviously kind of learn like the wear and tear and how long you're in places for and the hours and all of that. So I just think
shelf life of everything.
And I think and I think it just comes with a little bit of experience and like trial and error. Like there's times probably when I first started doing private dinners and stuff where I was just, at times I'm just going like, well, I'm like overbooking myself. I'm like exhausted. I feel like some stuff probably maybe got compromised along the way. And whenever I start feeling like anytime I book an event, it doesn't matter if I have no events that week or I'm about to just book one, I think to myself, will I be able to do what they're asking me to do without compromise?
Yeah.
So like next week when I'm working all those events, but I'm not busy Wednesday or Thursday, I know, okay, if someone reaches out and they want to book Wednesday or Thursday, I'm just not gonna be with it. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna be able to show up happy, pumps, go get her to their house. Like I feel like I'll forget things. So it definitely comes with trial and error for sure. So I think, and just be transparent with Carrie too on like figuring out, how much. And she's just so good with this with me. But I run my weeks by her and I say, okay, I have an inquiry for this date. Do you think, just with being a husband and, providing for the house, like, I want to work, but I also want to see my kids, see my wife. I don't want to, given I do a lot of work from home, like all of my administrative stuff, I'm home a lot for sure. But it's still one of those things where, if stuff starts getting compromised at home, or my wife is clearly exhausted, she hasn't had a break in 5 days, like, I don't know. That's still priority to me. But, you got to provide, some opportunities might be like if I'm crazy booked, but I have this crazy cool opportunity, like me and my wife still talk about that. But there's been plenty of times of saying, like, you know what, if I say yes to this, like all these other things, home life or work life is going to be compromised. So even one client specifically, like they're people who are probably like a little bit more in the spotlight, I guess you would say. And they reached out to me, I don't know, probably, dude, maybe it's been like since before my second was born. So probably around 2-ish years ago. And they're like, hey, we would love to book you for a dinner this day. Looked at my calendar, and I knew if I booked them that day, I would just not be able to deliver.
Yeah.
I would not be able to. And so it doesn't matter who these people are, like if they're in the spotlight or whatever, like if you're going to book me, I want to be able to show up there, be happy that I'm there, and be able to give you guys a great meal. And so, and I think maybe they appreciated that because they continued to book me later. Again, with the normalcy thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it just went.
I liked your honesty.
Sure.
Yeah.
And because then I went to a client's house and I was cooking dinner for them. And I said, oh, yeah, hey, such and such asked me to cook dinner for them. And like, oh, cool, when? And I was like, oh, they asked me to do it tonight. And they go, why aren't you there right now? Why are you here?
What
and
are you doing
I was
talking
just
to
like,
me?
that's not how I operate. Because I think, too, with, like, if, any people that are maybe in the spotlight, like, if they have me booked for something and then someone else reaches out to me, like, I'm a loyal guy. Like, I'm not going to.
Well, this person's offering me an extra $1,000, so see ya.
No. So, yeah, trial and error, and sometimes failure is
part of it.
Is part of it, man. Part of it. It's definitely a great teacher.
Yeah, it is. You clearly have pretty high standards for yourself and for your food. Is it just in that one realm of your personality, or does that kind of bleed over into every part of you?
We're getting deep.
Yeah, man. I'm going for it.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like with becoming, I was thinking about this today, actually.
Yeah.
With becoming a dad and just husband and all that stuff, I have never felt more pushed in my life ever, but I've never had as much drive as I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I would say I hold myself to a pretty high standard. Just in a lot. But also what's super important to me, and I learned this about 2 years ago, is rest.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Legitimate rest of not like, long story short, I got invited to go on this retreat. This was two summers ago. And no cell phones, out in the middle of Montana.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Out there.
Yeah.
Out there. Like you're surrounded by, I think it was like 5 million acres of Crow Indian Reservation. Like on this retreat, I didn't know. I was just like 2 weeks notice. My buddy texted me and invited me to go.
Yeah.
And I said yes. I didn't really know what I was getting into, and so I went. And actually, and I guess we were pregnant with our second, and our first was, I think he was about to turn 3. Yeah, about to turn 3, and to have legitimate rest, no cell phones, just out in the wild. Like it was kind of it was such a pivotal. I think I was there for 4 days, came back because I had work on the 5th, which is ironic.
Oh, man.
But went out there and kind of just disconnected. Called my wife like at the end of each night, kind of thing, to let her know I was alive.
Yeah,
but,
pretty much.
But you cannot be your best. It's kind of like, I don't know if I've heard something. Maybe it came from a movie. I don't know.
Who knows?
But it's just something I've been telling myself. It's like you can't be your best if you don't rest.
Yeah.
So like resting might look like staying at home for 2 days and just being with your family. It might look like, hey, Carrie, go hang out with friends. I'm going to go take the boys somewhere for the day.
Yeah.
Or, like, it can be a bunch of different stuff, but just prioritizing that. Like, whatever fills you back up, I think is just super, super important. And even right now, like, me and my wife for the last year, we've been, like, last October, we took a family trip, just the 4 of us. Like, no other family. It was the first vacation we had really been on.
Yeah.
Like, we always go with family or in-laws or whatever. It was the first trip we went on, just the 4 of us, my wife and our 2 boys. And it just changed our lives. Yeah. We were like, this is incredible. And given we're still with our boys, still being parents and all this stuff, but it was rest for us. Like, we just disconnected. I think we only told, like, we told my parents we were going and, like, her parents, but we didn't tell friends or any. We just, like, went pretty last minute. And it just, I don't know. It's just one of those things, like, on that trip, I just really, realized, first of all, rest is, I just needed that reminder of, like, how important rest is. But, we were planning on going back in September, October, which is like 2 months away.
Yeah.
And yesterday, going to bed, I was like, oh, crap. I just booked. So now we're kind of talking through that. But we haven't, like, officially planned anything yet. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take work. But it's just crazy now that I have to prioritize stuff 2 to 3 months out.
Yeah.
And just be intentional with that. So, I don't know, just finding rest, I think is super important. And that might look like getting a cabin in the woods and being with your family for the day, or it might look like going to a Blink-182 concert, or, so just taking those moments to just recharge, not, yes, be grinding, yes, be hustling, yes, be working a lot, but I personally can't do that unless I don't, at least every once in a while, just do a little something to remind myself why I do what I do, or spend time with the family, whatever it may be. So, rest is very, very important.
It is. I feel like sometimes it's also like rejuvenation can be a little elusive sometimes. Like, I feel like I've had the times where, like, all right, I'm going to go to a coffee shop for an hour and just sit there and stare the entire hour. I'm like, you need to be resting. You need to be resting. You need to be resting.
Dude, that's anytime it rains, I'm like, Carrie, I just want to be in a coffee shop.
I want to be in a coffee shop chilling.
I want to be drinking my iced mocha or my Breve dirty chai and just sitting there and doing nothing. Yep. And so, anyway, sometimes it does look like that.
But like, I say that more just to say that it took me a while to realize that, like, whenever I try to rest or rejuvenate, I've done the times where whenever I'm rejuvenating, I'm sitting there the whole time saying, you're refreshed now, you're refreshed now, you're refreshed now. And I'm like, my mental space is so bad that even in my resting time, I can't rest.
For sure. No,
I just want to mention that reality of, like, that's part of it too, is I think that's a big part of meditation is sometimes you sit there and you realize how uncentered you are. And you can't fix something that you don't acknowledge. So even if the time you set aside to center yourself, you aren't centering yourself, you at least know the path that you need to go on after that.
Yeah. No, super, super important. And even for years, so, like, when I went to Montana, didn't work or whatever, but then when we went on our family vacation this last October, it just rested. Every single time I've been on vacation, I'm bringing cookbooks with me. I'm bringing my notepad. I'm bringing my cell phone, my laptop, because sometimes for me, it's nice to brainstorm menus and all that stuff. Like, that's great. Yeah. But sometimes you have to draw the line on, like, I want to do this, but I can't. Yeah. I need to fully unplug. So like, even at rare times when you get a random hour to yourself in a coffee shop, I'm like, oh man, this is great. But I have my laptop with me. I'm emailing. I'm like, I'm gonna listen to
this album that makes me focus. No, it's not at all.
When you're in time where there is no noise and that you're focused, that's where a lot of great ideas come from.
Yeah. 100%.
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
To have that computer to where you write that down, or that notepad, that's when you can find your best ideas.
For sure.
Or at least that's how it was for me.
Yeah, I mean, I very much believe in, like, the muse, and very much that, like, if one day you have creative juice, you just got to write it down and you got to try to capture it while you can, because who knows when it'll return.
Yeah.
So,
no, for sure.
Wasn't it like singers that would have a notepad by their nightstand? So like when they would wake up,
So nowadays it's the voice memo on their phone.
Oh,
so
okay.
there's I only am saying that because there's a podcast called Song Exploder in which it'll take a song and it'll go through every single level of the song that it was recorded as. So it'll be like the artist being like, here's the melody I hummed while on a train, and here's what it turned into next. Here's what it turned into next.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's
they do like
wild.
voice
Yeah.
memos now. But yeah, it's because of you're like
crazy.
out and about and you're just like, yeah, that'd be a cool melody. I'm not going to remember this in 2 seconds. Here we go.
Yeah.
I used to, and I need to start doing it again, take a little moleskin journal that I would have in the back pocket, and I always would have a pen.
So yeah, someone has told me to do that, but I lost the journal and I lost the pen. So it's so tricky. It's so hard. Like sometimes it'll be like, oh my gosh, that's such a good,
That was
that's
really
a good
good.
dish. That's a good idea.
Yep.
What
And
was a
then-
good dish? Oh, I don't know.
Well, the
Yeah.
funny thing is even when you write it down, you sometimes forget it
Yeah.
still anyways. Because I will look, I have like a stack of those that I keep. I have tried to keep every
Yeah.
single one of them, and I'll look back at them every once in a while and be like,
What was I smoking?
what in the world?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I was looking for a notebook in my house the other day, and I had written down tons of just over the last 5 years or whatever, just tons
Yeah.
of food ideas or work stuff or whatever. And I look back at some ideas, and I'm like, that doesn't sound good.
That's not a thing.
That doesn't sound good. What was I thinking? And even like I was,
But you get a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
a Facebook memory popped up on my profile. Like I think this was like 2 days ago, and it was of this dish that I did at this dinner, and it was like a short rib with like, what was it? It was like some wilted kale, short rib, and grits, and like a peach relish or chutney or something like that.
Man,
which
you're making me
sounds
hungry.
good. But I look at this picture, and I'm like, Carrie, why would I ever serve this to anyone? Like it, but it made me realize like just how much it took a lot of getting used to
Yeah.
doing the food in homes than commercial kitchens.
Yeah.
Like it took a bigger adjustment than what I think I was even aware of.
Yeah.
Because now I look at a watermelon salad I posted the other day, but then I go back 3 years and I look at a watermelon salad I posted then. And not that my food was ever bad, but I feel like I had a hard time executing visions
Yeah.
when I was still so new to working in people's homes as
Yeah, of
opposed to a
course.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have access to certain things,
Yep.
and equipment cooks differently. And so
Yep.
it took some getting used to for sure.
So watermelon salad. Is
Yeah,
that?
that's the one
That's
I
it right
posted
there?
the other day. Yeah. That's the one I posted the other day.
Wow.
But we're
I've
not
never
gonna
heard of that
we're
before.
not gonna go to the one I posted 3 years ago.
Okay, no, we won't. But I was interested. I was like, I've never heard of watermelon salad
there it
before.
is.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I guess you call it a salad, but yeah, it's been an evolving thing, and
Looks delicious.
thanks, man.
Do you do Pinky's Micros?
Yeah. So
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
special
thought.
shout
I
out to
thought-
Pinky.
Yeah, I thought that was his
Yeah.
stuff
Dude,
on there.
I'm pretty sure I bug him so much, but because I'm so last minute.
Oh, are you? Yeah.
Or I just forget things, which every creative I feel like just lacks. in
yeah.
it. So I'll text him like sometimes I'll give him like a week notice, but
That's nice of you.
like but every once in a while I'll be like, hey, in like 2 days, can I come and grab X, Y, and Z? Which he's been awesome because I was buying micros from another couple that do amazing stuff. They're super sought after in Nashville in restaurants and all that, but they live out in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
And logistically, for me to get stuff from them was just crazy.
Wasn't working.
And so, lucky for me, Pinky's right in Franklin, and so I'm in Franklin a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's just a way easier, and his stuff is awesome, and
Yeah.
he's doing a great job, and he's a great guy, and
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
he's a machine, man, and his product is great, and it's always cool showing up there, and like literally these micros were cut 30 minutes ago,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty cool.
pretty cool stuff, yeah.
We've talked almost everything except your kids so far. How many kids
Yeah.
do you have? You know?
So me and my wife, we have 2 boys. Our oldest, his name is Maverick. He just turned 5
Yeah.
in June. And then we have another little boy. His name's Cohen. He is just over a year and a half. He'll be 2 in December.
Nice.
Yep. So we've been married. October will be 9 years. And
Better get that right.
Yeah. Well, it's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost a
We
decade.
can dub
man.
over it if it was wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it'll be 9 years in October. And we had, so our firstborn, Maverick, he was born 5 days before my wife's 25th birthday. So the month of June is like, oh my gosh,
crazy.
It's just crazy. So yeah, just for both of their birthdays being that close together and stuff. So then Cohen, he was born 5 days. He was born December 20th. But what's so crazy is our firstborn, he was technically like 12 days past his due date or whatever. But then Cohen showed up. His technical due date was the 1st of January, but he showed up like 10 days early. Yeah. So that was a big. I was actually working the night my wife went into labor. She texted me and said, "Hey, my stomach's just been a little tight." Like she was out and about all day with Maverick and her side of the family just hanging out. She's like, "Man, I'm gonna head home. My stomach's just kind of tired. I'm just not feeling good." And I knew she wasn't technically due until the 1st, but I just let my server know, like, "Hey, like my wife's stomach's kind of hurting. Like I might just have to kind of like we might just have to move kind of fast with dinner or whatever." And dinner went great. Everything went smooth. And I went up. It was my first time in the client's home. Since then, they've been awesome. Really, really sweet people. And I go up to the wife and I say, "Hey, and I didn't take deposits down for any events like in December. I had them booked, but I didn't take deposits in case my son was born."
Oh, yeah. Sure,
and so this was the last event of the holiday season that I booked because I wanted to make sure I had like 2 weeks off roughly around when baby's born so that I could just be around and stuff. And I go up to her and I say, "Hey, like, thank you so much for having us. Normally I hang out for a little bit and talk to people, but I got to get going. My wife's stomach is just a little tight." She goes, "Leave right now." Leave literally right now.
Yeah.
And she was like, "How long has she been feeling this way for?" I go, "Oh, she texted me about an hour ago." Leave right now. Yeah. She was super sweet, but they were all excited. Yeah. So then to get home, and my wife, like, she's still just kind of having cramps and stuff. And I think she texted our midwife. It's like, "Hey, I'm just having cramps, like every like 5-ish minutes or so."
Those are contractions.
And so, but my wife was like, "But I don't feel like I'm in labor though. Like I feel like I'm just kind of just not feeling good or something."
It's Braxton Hicks. Who
and
knows?
And so I instinctively, that it was the last dinner of the holiday season, and I thought to myself, "Dude, this is gonna be awesome. I have a week or two to just chill." Like it was a busy holiday season. I'm just gonna hang out. Christmas is coming up. Like, this is gonna be so sweet. Get home and God's like, "Yep, you're having a baby tonight." So
plans ruined.
Plans ruined. And so I was like so excited to get home and shower, get in bed, and so anyway, get home and my wife is in labor, I guess. And so let's see. That goes on for a few hours. Contractions start to pick up. And but she's in touch with our midwife, and she's just saying, like, "Man, I just don't think I'm in labor," because we were expecting for her, based on our firstborn, like she could be pregnant for another month.
Yeah. We didn't have a February baby.
Yeah, so we're just kind of, man, that's so weird. But then things obviously progressed and stuff, and then I think our midwife arrived around like 11 or 11:30-ish. And our son was born at like 1:30 or something.
Wow.
So
quick.
So she's in labor and everything, and our son, our oldest, he was asleep in his bedroom somehow throughout all this, which is a huge godsend because he, like both of our boys, just sleep just isn't really a thing in our house. And so he woke up at like 12, opens our bedroom door to come get in bed with us, and I just snag him, put it back in his bed. He somehow fell back asleep. And so
not tonight.
So then things start progressing pretty good with the labor and stuff. And the RN that showed up like with the midwife, she goes, "Okay, like go ahead and start filling up like the birth tub." I was like, "All right." So I was in our bathroom and I was hooking up the hose to our shower faucet to start filling up this tub. Are you guys ask questions? I'm super big into natural birth and stuff.
Okay.
So
I've never done it.
So I'm hooking up the hose to fill up this inflatable tub in our bedroom for my wife to have her baby in. And the RN comes to the bathroom. She goes, "Hey, no, we don't have time for this. We can't do it." And I was like, "What? You just asked me to come do this." She's like, "No,
we can't be this far along.
Baby's coming right now. Get out here. You're having this baby right now." I was like, "Oh, okay, sweet." Cool. And so get out there. And and then he was born, I guess, I don't know, I feel like my wife, I feel like she pushed for like 15 to 20 minutes, something like that, and he was born.
You're making a lot of moms pissed off right
and
now.
So baby's born, and I texted my server that night, and I texted the client that night. They're probably two of the first people that got a picture of my son. I go,
cool.
and I said, well, this happened tonight.
Yeah.
and they,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh my gosh. So
happy to be a part of it.
yeah, I know. So every year when it's my son's birthday, I always text them, and I'm like,
That's
hey,
a cool
remember
story.
that time? You know, so
Worst
anyway.
stomach bug ever.
Yeah, exactly. So that was super sweet, and our first we had him at a birthing center here in Nashville, and I think we got there at like, God, I mean, it's been like 5 years now. So I think we got there around 10:30, 11, and then he was born around 1:30 as well. But yeah, so we got two dudes. Maverick, our oldest, he's like just out the womb, biggest personality.
Really?
Just a wild man. Just like on the go, so much energy, so much emotions, just like loves, I mean, from the time he was a year and a half old, he was on he never used training wheels. He just rode a bike.
Oh, wow.
Or he had like a Strider bike. Have you heard of those?
The one that doesn't
I've
have the
seen, like,
pedals?
the balance bikes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So he was on one of those in our neighborhood, coasting on it when he was a year and a half old.
Dang.
He
Put him in basketball.
So he started doing that. He's always been very just like physically coordinated. So now he he loves riding his bikes. I have my first dirt bike I got for my 9th birthday. I started teaching him how to ride it.
Wow.
Around before he turned 5. He's in Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
He just is like, and he's always been a little like just bigger for his age and stuff. Like he's just like this tank. Yeah. Just so much energy, so much love, loves animals, loves making, just like on the go.
Yeah.
Constantly. We gave up on him taking naps when he was like 2. Yeah. And it just because this kid, he just full send.
I can either fight with him for the entire afternoon, or I can accept he's not going to nap.
Bingo. or he can just go to bed at 6:30.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
He just so much emotion, and so just a sweet kid, just a sweetheart, man. So much emotion, so big, so tough, but just like such a sweet kid. And Cohen, our youngest, he's obviously he's little brother and stuff, and so big brother's kind of, it's one of those things where like once you bring in the second kid, they just have to figure stuff out sometimes. Like let them kind of sort it out. Like if parents need to get involved, great, but like I don't know, they are great brothers. Like Maverick loves his little brother, but it's just a bigger brother, little brother situation sometimes. And Cohen, I almost feel like as far as physical capability, going back to when Maverick was his age, Cohen is very sneaky. He's very
very sneaky,
quiet.
Very, very sneaky.
Dude, I mean, there's times he has to be I feel like we have to keep a closer eye on him at his age than we did with Maverick.
Yeah.
He's on the kitchen table. If you don't watch him, he's climbing up a chair, he's on the kitchen table, standing up, trying to pet one of our cats, or he's on a ledge. Lately he's been climbing up on Maverick's bunk bed that he has in his room, climbs up the bunk bed, goes over to the smoke detector, leaning over the bunk bed. So all doors are locked in our house constantly. Yeah. But if
he's gonna be the first one to jump off your roof,
dude, he'll press the smoke alarm, and we hear the beep, beep, and we just get up. It's like, oh my gosh, you just gotta keep. He's just a little bit more like curious and adventurous.
Yeah,
and he's a sweetheart. He's the one. Like, he's going to bed with his little stuffed puppy. Yeah. He's a little bit more of a snuggle bug. I feel like, at least. And he's just super sweet. Anyway, but both of these boys, it's a nonstop party in our house, it feels like. And they want to be involved in everything. Yeah. Mav, like at the end of every, when it's time for bed, like Mav kisses his brother goodnight. Like it's a really sweet dynamic. Like we're really trying to breed a really cool relationship for them. And it seems to be going pretty good. So yeah, but the first month or two, or for the first month, we were like, wow, people say having a second kid is a hard adjustment. Like, that's crazy. Second, third month was like, oh my gosh, Maverick has some feelings about this.
Pretty much.
But he doesn't know how to put it into words yet. So it was a lot of, interesting, it's like, okay, this is how you have to process how you're feeling right now. And this is what people talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's because you think all of your energy is going to be spent on the newborn. And the reality is yes, and the older one. Because the older one is the one, it's just that. They are witnessing everything and they can't express anything the way they want it to actually be understood.
Oh, for sure. And you have to learn that, okay, there's two parents, there's two kids, so now you got to kind of divide and conquer sometimes.
Man-to-man defense.
So wait, how many kids do you guys have?
I only have one.
You got three, you got one. So you guys are outnumbered.
We're outnumbered. Yep.
It's wild.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Basically, the girls play together. Hopefully they don't, hopefully they're in a good vibe or they aren't fighting. And then I go somewhere else with Josh. Because the reality is he'll be 2 in September. And so, he just if he wants to play with anything that they have, there's like, no, not like that. I had the Barbie set up like this. That was better. So it's just like, well, you're just going to yell no at him until I take him out of the room. So go upstairs. I'll be downstairs.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I know. It's a crazy thing. And I think, too, one thing that's just blowing my mind is, as far as our mine and Carrie's boys go, we're the only ones between all of our siblings, my wife's twin sister, she has a boy too, but up until that boy was born, my boys or Maverick was the only boy. Like all of his cousins are girls. Okay. All of obviously my brother went to heaven, but I have my sisters. My older sister only has girls. Yeah. There's just no boys anywhere. Yeah. And so now with having our two boys, seeing the boys and girls are just different, man. It's just it's wild. Yeah. It's what, and you just don't really think about it until you have kids. You just don't really think about it. No. It's crazy stuff. Even with my boys, I grew up riding dirt bikes, and I love paintball and just typical kind of boy stuff. But one thing that me and Carrie are trying to be really intentional of is letting them find their hobbies, letting them figure out what they're passionate with, and hey, how can we steward this? Yeah, to be something awesome. Even if it's a phase for 2 months, okay, how can we, steward that in them? But I kind of thought, maybe I have to show them trucks or show them superheroes or whatever, and it's somehow
they know.
They just know. And it's so cool to see that. But man, boys and girls are just the way they process things emotionally, and it's just a trip.
Yep. Yeah. I think we went to Sevier the other day, and they're doing a bunch of construction around there. Uh-huh. And walking around with Josh, he hears the sound of a truck, and he goes, oh yeah. And I'm just like, how do you even know that's a truck?
For sure. Tractors, dude.
Yeah, just you sit there and you're like, how did you even know that there was a truck nearby?
Yep.
Ada does that with buses.
Does she really?
Yeah.
That's
she'll
fun.
Be in her she'll be in her car seat and she'll say bus, and a bus will come by.
So how old is your daughter?
She is 22 months.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's just now starting to put words together.
Heck yeah.
And I'm finding out more about her personality and her little tude that she's getting.
I think around 2 is whenever you're a kid, you're like, oh, this is fun. They get a lot more independent. When they can
I'm
communicate.
Just gonna be, and she's got me wrapped around her finger.
And she knows it.
Yeah, she does. Dang it.
That's awesome.
And I just know it, and I can't do anything about it.
She's cute.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've listened to an episode, but how we end them nowadays is we do 5 questions.
Love it.
Every guest.
All right.
Anyway.
5 questions.
First question. What were your kids' backup names?
Whew. So that's funny. So we thought going in, when we first found out we were pregnant with Maverick, we figured we were having a girl because my sisters only had girls. She's the firstborn. My wife's twin sister, she had a girl, and my wife and her sister are firstborn. So okay, we're having a girl. And so when me and my wife got engaged, we were in Israel, and I proposed to her on the top of this I feel pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
Telling the story.
Yeah.
So there's no short answer to this, but it's relevant. So I proposed to her in Jerusalem on this hilltop, this rooftop restaurant in this hotel called the Mamila Hotel, and so or just the Mamila, and so it was this rooftop restaurant overlooking Jerusalem, the works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man.
So we always thought like, oh, it'd be cool. Like if we have a daughter, it would be really cool to name her Mila. Like that'd be really cool.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm also a big Star Wars guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll dive deep later.
I'm a really big Lord of the Rings fan.
I could dive deep. I could dive deep.
If you want to discuss the Silmarillion or Baron and Luthien, we can do that for at least an hour and a half.
I can do all right with that.
Okay,
so
cool.
So anyway, I'm a Star Wars fan, and at the time when the newest trilogy came out, like Rey, I thought was so we wanted to name her Mila Ray, which nobody can steal the name of my. So anyway, we had
unborn daughter.
So, yeah, exactly. So we had a name chosen out for a girl, and we have for 6 years now. And so God has blessed us with 2 boys.
Yeah.
And so for Maverick, I think what were we debating between? I don't think we officially named him until like 48 hours after he was born. We had to like play it out. Like, okay, what do we? So
Vibe with it.
I think it was between Maverick and I want to say
Goose?
Wyatt. You know, it's funny. We hadn't even watched Top
Are
Gun.
you serious?
And so all these people that are like a few years older than us are like, Top Gun.
Top Gun.
And I'm like,
you're like, who's the Top Gun? I don't know what that means.
sweet. Yeah. Which I knew it was the movie, but I didn't know Maverick was
Yeah.
Tommy Cruise's,
Call sign or whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but then for Cohen, this is so country. Like I think my wife kind of vetoed this because she's from a small town in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so I said I really wanted to name our son Trace or Pierce. I thought those were 2 really cool names.
Yeah.
She was like, Trace is way too country. I know way
Trace
too many.
Atkins.
I know way
Yeah,
too.
first
Yeah,
thought,
exactly.
first thought,
And
yep.
so she's like, I know way too many kids named Trace or Labradors named Trace. Like we just can't do that. And so I was like, okay. And then Pierce just kind of fell through the cracks. But I think I pushed Wyatt again for Cohen.
Yeah.
But then when we found out we were pregnant, our server at a restaurant, his name was Cohen. We're like, that's a really cool
That's cool,
name.
yeah.
And so he named him Cohen.
Nice. That works.
Shout out to Cohen.
Shout out to Cohen.
30A server in Florida somewhere.
Nice.
Little did he know.
Little did he know.
Inspiration to us all.
Yes.
Next question. Do you have a favorite TV dad?
Favorite TV dad?
Yeah.
Philip Banks, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Philip Banks or Phil Dunphy, Modern Family.
Only Phil's.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Team
All
Phil.
the Phils.
Ooh.
Was your dad named Phil? No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. Yeah. Philip Banks, Phil Dunphy. Man, I know I'm forgetting one.
I mean, those are 2
Yeah,
pretty
those
solid
are-
answers.
those
You
are
don't need
good
a
ones.
third.
Feeling pretty good about
That's pretty
that.
good.
Okay.
Did you watch a lot of Fresh Prince growing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and my brother for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
me and my
Love
dad.
Was it really?
Yeah.
love
Cool.
Fresh Prince. Love Fresh Prince.
Yeah. I feel like I watched the first 2 seasons of Modern Family and then just forgot about it. And then I looked
Yep.
up and there were 9. And
So,
I'm like, oh my
Are
God.
they
So
still
we-
going?
No, they finished like
we
a couple
have
years ago.
every season, or I think we're missing the most recent season on DVD.
Yeah.
We watch it every single night.
Really?
As we follow.
Cool.
It's just like a good, like, it's just funny.
Yeah.
Every episode is
Yeah.
hysterical the way it's written. I encourage you.
Yeah, to keep it up. Cool.
It is so clever.
Yeah.
It's so clever. We love Modern Family.
Sweet.
All right. Least favorite kid show or movie? One that your kids have probably watched a million times and you're like,
Please no.
no.
Dang. So we're definitely pretty selective on what we let our kids watch. So like as far as any of this Coco Melon, whatever these kids like I couldn't even tell you like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as stuff that I don't want to watch that they might want to watch sometimes. Oh man. I mean, nothing that, because we really, I mean, anytime they want to watch something, it's pretty few and far between. So, I mean, honestly, the only thing that's annoyed me is, like, my son watched like the Paw Patrol movie a few times.
Yeah.
Mayor Humdinger.
He's such a dumb character.
I'm gonna do
I sound like a carnival barker from the 20s.
Yes, like so. He's pretty annoying.
But also you're like, well, the character's purpose is to be annoying and dumb.
Exactly.
So you're succeeding
exactly,
in that.
Yeah.
But
Mayor Humdinger, you suck.
you suck. Worst mayor ever.
Worst.
But you know what? I think that's the first time we've heard that one.
Next question. What's your favorite, do your sons have a toy that when they play with it, you actually like playing with?
Oh.
It can also be just running outside with them.
Dude, my son, they're so all over the place.
That's what it sounds like. They have a lot of energy to expend.
Dude, yeah, so much energy. It's always fun when, like, if I'm mowing the grass, like, they both want to ride on the mower so bad. And so, like,
That's so cool.
I'll, like, go on rabbit speed and just, like, I don't even, just so slow.
Yeah.
And they're just, or my oldest, he'll want to go faster, but my youngest, he'll just sit there and just, like, love it. So that's always fun. I feel like a
That's
real dad.
funny.
Getting a good cut on the lawn.
Yeah, man.
Riding with the boy, that's fun. Riding with
Yep.
the boys after, that's fun.
That's a great one.
Dude, I'm really bad at like imaginary play. For
Oh,
some reason,
really?
kind of. I just like or like my son, like he has magnetiles.
Yeah.
And so he loves doing the same that he calls a shoot ship, which is when we build ships out of magnetiles, and he chases me around, but he doesn't let me destroy his ship. He only destroys mine. I can only do that for so long.
That makes sense.
I can only do that for so long.
I'm giggling at your intentionality of pronunciation of shoot ship.
Shoot ship, yeah. Shoot
Because
ship.
it is a very thin line there
Yeah.
between
Hey,
what you can say.
actually, yeah, that was fine. I saw you giggling. I was like, that probably sounds like it said something else.
does.
But, tell you what, one thing that I'm good at, it's
Yeah.
a game I invented. Get your notepads out, Dad.
Okay.
So my son, for a little while, like we would let him watch Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And so the Green Goblin is on Spidey and Amazing Friends. Yep. So I can do a very good impression
Can
of
you?
him. I'm not going to do it right now.
Come on.
But you can't put me on the spot. Maybe next time.
I mean, you put yourself on the spot, so therefore,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, since you asked. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
joking. So
if I may.
So there's times where dads are tired, right?
Yes.
So listen to this. So my sons, just with all their energy, it's very active play. Like it's not sitting down coloring, or it's very physical, active,
Yeah.
running around, climbing stuff, whatever. So I came up with this game. I entitled it. This is so funny. It's ridiculous. I entitled it the Sleepy Green Goblin Game. Okay.
Okay.
So what it
I'm interested.
if I had if I had this stuff recorded, it would be so funny. So what I do is my son Maverick, he puts on his Spider-Man costume, and I lay on the couch. I lay down.
Yeah.
And I act like I'm asleep, but I snore how I think Green Goblin would snore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I pretend like I'm asleep, and he has to sneak up on me and steal like a stuffed animal off me without waking me up. And so then he'll wake me up, and then I'll be like, What's going on here, Spider-Man? What are you doing?" And he'll start throwing like balls at me and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just sit there and I just take it.
And you go, ah.
But I lay down.
Yeah.
I very rarely do I even throw a ball back. I just lay there.
Just based
and
on
then
reactions.
I'm like, okay, another round. Go
Another
around.
This one's about 20 minutes, just so you know.
Spider-Man, leave me alone. Yeah, so that's kind of the Sleepy Green Goblin
Creativity.
game.
Well done.
And
Well
so
done.
we haven't played that in a while, but he asked me to sometimes, and anytime I do it, I'm like, Carrie, do you realize why I made up this game? She's like, you get to lay down.
Yeah.
You just lay down, and he'll
don't
get
do
like her giant yoga ball and start throwing it at me. But you know what? I'm just so tired. He just throws it at me, and I just take it.
This might
and
as
I
well
just
happen.
take it. But it's getting his energy out. But
And he and it makes him feel like he's playing with dad.
Yep.
so yeah,
The memories you created.
Sleepy Green Goblin.
Whenever he's in therapy later, he's like, I feel like my dad was just tired all the time. That was a game. That was a game.
Dude.
Oh,
Yeah, so
man.
that's-
Agreed upon.
So that's about it. But yeah,
Brilliant.
any play we do, it's out. It's a lot of outside. We got like slip and slides now and pools, but it's one of those things you fill it up. They're bored with it in 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
But
Takes more time to
we're
put it together.
outside. We're
but it's worth it, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For
Oh
sure.
man. All right. Last question.
Yes.
What moment of your kid's life are you most excited to be a part of? That one's a deep one.
Dang. What moment am I most excited about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, it could be whatever you want, but could it be your kid's wedding, or just going to your son's practices, or basketball,
Yeah.
or
Gosh,
baseball, or whatever?
There's a lot of stuff, whether it be big or small things that as a dad you can be super proud of that you didn't even necessarily think you'd be super proud of.
Yep.
So stuff that I'm very excited about in the future, specifically when they hit about the age of 18, like figuring out what it is that they're super passionate about, and hopefully me and Carrie invest enough into whatever these passions are for it to eventually become like a career or something that fills their cup up. That that knowing, okay, how old is Maverick? He's 5. Like 13 years from now, if he decides to go to college, cool. If he decides to, hey, I've been really passionate about X, Y, and Z for 4 years, okay. Like, just encouraging, seeing what they're good at, encouraging it, and seeing in the future, seeing them know that their parents did all that they could to invest in those passions to help them grow and figure out their hobbies, what they either want to do in their life, or just knowing that we did our everything to steward this. Like, even if it's something from, say, jujitsu, I'm just going to use that as an example. Say Maverick wants to pursue being a practitioner or like do competitive jujitsu. Sweet. And then I can look back and be like, I'm so grateful we enrolled you in that when you were 4 years old.
Yeah.
And we didn't I'm stoked that he's doing it, but it's one of those things that we just kind of decided to give a shot. He loves to wrestle. He has a ton of energy. He's a big kid. I feel like he would like it.
Yeah.
He likes it. And just like, if he were to come to us in years from now, I'd be like, wow, I'm so happy we enrolled him in that, because now it's something he actually is passionate about, that he ran with himself. Yeah. Nothing that we, so I think, to answer the question, I think in the future, seeing what it ends up being that they're super passionate about, and hoping that me and Carrie did everything we could to help that, foster that into turning into something really life-giving for them.
Yeah. Of course.
So, I mean, right now, stuff that I'm super proud of is, days when there's times where, like, our front yard is flat and we live kind of out in the country and sun is setting. I see Maverick and Cohen and Carrie catching fireflies. And this isn't because I'm a tired dad, but sometimes the way I process things is I like to just kind of watch.
Yeah.
And I'll sit on our swing on our front tree, this giant pine tree we have in our front yard, and I'll just sit there and I'll watch them. Mm-hmm. Bro.
That's awesome.
There is, like, I just think to myself, like, you know what? This is what it, like, I was telling Carrie this yesterday. I feel like there's nothing in my life that I feel like I don't feel like I'm lacking anything. Mm-hmm. And
your life is fulfilled.
I look at my kids and I start playing Simple Song by Chris Stapleton in my head, and I'm watching them catch fireflies, and I'm just like, man, like this, just being present in this stuff and having them be in an environment where they are loved and supported, and we steward good qualities in them, and they love their family, they love their mom, the boys love each other, they think I'm decent. You know,
They
So
accept you for as you are.
yeah, exactly. So I don't, man, that's a really deep thing, but yeah, I think seeing what they're passionate about in the future and knowing that we played a role in that and just figuring that out from a young age, you know, for them, or it might not even happen until they're 20, you know, I don't know, but just having some role in knowing, okay, we knew you were passionate about this. We knew you loved this. I want to steward those gifts as good as I possibly can in you, because I think the way God created you and the way you're programmed and what you're passionate about is there for a reason. So like, let's see what we can do to help you run with that.
Yeah, and I think there's a journey that.
Are we about to cry?
That. No, you are. Maybe. I think
we're all wiping away tears.
I think there's a journey you go on as you discover all of that, and I want to be a part of that with my kids. You know, and that's it. I just want to be included. I want to be someone who lifts them up and doesn't tell them not no, but doesn't discourage them, because there's a journey to figure out what makes you come alive in your everyday life. And maybe just sitting there and watching kids catch fireflies in the front step. Today I picked up, like, we were around the house and like the girls were dancing and something, so I decided to pick them up and like dance with them one by one and put them down. And as like I set them in, I was like, oh, that's like a rare moment. That's like they're 5 and 7, and a year from now they probably won't let you do this. Okay, noted. Dance.
See, and that's I'm happy.
Soak it in.
Pretty much, it in, man. And even I know we all got to get going. We're all tired.
You're good. Yeah. But like, Green Goblin game tomorrow will be fine.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good round of Sleepy Green Goblin.
Yes.
But I think, you know, there's moments back to the firefly thing.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, it was bedtime. Right. It's a long day.
Yeah.
I think.
And
you know, it was time for bed. Carrie took Cohen to his room and was putting him to sleep. And I think I was brushing my teeth or something, and I hear the front door open, and it's kind of like sunset. It's probably 7:30, and Maverick goes outside, and he's just in his jammy pants, and he's shirtless, and he's just like catching fireflies.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
And I.
That sounds country.
And we're really not that, but we are kind of.
Yeah.
But I know. So I see he opens the front door, and I'm kind of like, oh God, it's bedtime now. I got to go get him from outside. He's gonna get rehyped. He's gonna take forever to go down.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of pause for a second. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna kill this for him right now.
Yeah.
If my son needs to spend an extra 5 minutes outside to end the day awesome, catching fireflies in our front yard, like, dude, I'm not going to stop. Like, moments like that, it's like, dude, you're not going to want to do this forever. Yeah. Just like how you're not going to want to, like, hop in bed with me and your mom forever.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Like, I literally can't even go to bed until both of our boys are in the room with us. You know what I mean? So it's just... you know, it's one of those things, like, you know, rarities like that. You see your little girls dancing, and, you know, maybe they didn't even ask you to, hey, Dad, will you come dance with us? But you're like, you know what? I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moments like this aren't going to last forever, and sometimes it's just taking that initial 30 seconds to just soak in something.
Pretty much.
Let them go catch fireflies before bedtime for a second.
Yep.
Let them let them dance. Get up and dance with them. Stuff like that. It's just like, it's. Yeah.
I agree.
God.
Beautiful.
Oh, man.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Cody.
Last thing is you can plug your social media. So, like, if we wanted to follow you, get to know you better,
awesome.
keep up with you, what's the best way to do that?
So my Instagram, I guess, username or whatever is just White Crane Hospitality. White like the color, crane like the bird. So CRANE Hospitality, LLC. Shout out, I'm joking. But yeah, so the logo is like a kind of a animation of like a crane. It says White Crane on it, and then go there. It says Private Chef Services and where I'm based out of and all that stuff. And I have my website, which is just whitecranetn.com.
Yeah.
You can see my seasonal menus on there, services I offer. You can get in touch with me via email through there as well. I prefer people not DM me because that's just another thing to keep up with. So emailing is always the best. So yeah, if y'all want want to check out my food or see what I can offer, that's
Yeah.
kind of the place to do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Holy smokes.
Thank you so
This
much.
is awesome. What time is it right now?
Oh, 9:34.
It's 9:30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
way
gotta
past
text my
Justin's
wife.
birthday.
Yep.
Whoops.
See ya.
Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Nashville Dads and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio and episodes are produced by me, Devin.